with us. It is Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth. They have led us off in High Stakes Duel II. Phil, you are the reigning, defending, undisputed champion. You win round 1 of High Stakes Duel II. It is only fair for you, Phil, to lead us off in this show with an announcement on when round 2 will take place. The floor is yours.
Well, okay. We're going to be playing May 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be showing up with my brain fuel.
There it is.
Hold on, I need to drink some of this now. And I also need to tell you this, Daniel. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Mama said knock you out. Mama said knock you out.
He's a better poker player than a rapper.
Mama said knock you out.
You are definitely a better poker player than a rapper. That's not close.
There it is with the brain fuel. All right, Brent, so you heard it from Phil. May 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's right.
And the preview shows?
Yeah, we're gonna do the hype show on May 4th. So that'll be, I believe that'll be at 8 p.m. as well. Totally free everywhere. And then we're going to do the weigh-in at 7:30 with Nick Schulman just before the match. And then, of course, we're going to rumble on Cinco de Mayo. I might have a cocktail that day.
Sounds good.
I might have multiple
a
cocktails. Yeah.
All right, so you each have had about a week to think about this. Phil, I'll start with you. What does this win mean to you?
I mean, it's nice, but I mean, come on. I mean, I have to win the next one. You can't. Negreanu, when I look back, he really played amazing. It seemed like he was technically perfect. It's tough to play against that style. And so, I don't know. I'm not going to underestimate Negreanu. He's a great player who's playing a great game. And, hopefully I can pull a little white magic out on May 5th,
Phil, do you feel fortunate to have won that match? I mean, let's face it, you were getting crushed right away. You had you down to about 3,000 or 4,000 chips. I mean, did you ever feel defeated the entire time?
No, but I mean that's just me. I got lower than that against a Jungle Man, believe it or not, in our match, and came back and won it. And in the Jungle Man match, it was 200,000 basically in cash. In other words, when I won that 200,000, I could just take it right to the cage. And so can't take it to the cage yet because Daniel's challenged me here. The one thing I have going for me is I play in my regular game, and they tease me for not buying in when I'm down to 1,800. It might be 50, 100. Everybody has all these huge stacks in front of them, and I'm playing 1,800. And I think they laugh at me sometimes. When I'm down to 9 big blinds, but I've had so much practice playing that short stack and, waiting for good spots. I guess that's allowed me not really to panic. I think I put myself in a bad spot, or Daniel put me in a bad spot. And, I was fortunate to come away with the victory in the first match.
And Daniel, obviously, if we're results-oriented here, it's a disappointing outcome for you. So let's be more process-oriented. How would you sum up how you played in round 1 of High Stakes Duel II?
Well, obviously the deep stack play, things went really, really well. Sort of the strategy that I thought was going to be most effective seemed to be working quite well. And then I did, because I was not playing, game theory optimal approach. I was, trying to play exploitative and take advantage of spots that I thought were worthwhile. But I think with short chips, when both he was short and when I was short, I took the exploits to far too much of an extreme in spots, and I made one mistake. Either the graphic was wrong or I counted my chips wrong, because I folded a Jack 10, and if the graphic was right or whatever, I had like 2.5, 3 big blinds left. So looking back, I would of course like to play that. But I think my head was a little spinning too, just because you have complete control of the match. It's almost over. And then, we get the 10-5 of clubs hand come up where he has Jack, Queen 6 of clubs. All right, we got a double. And then from there, the rivers were not kind. And all the big pots we played were basically like me betting turn, him calling, and the river card improving his hand. Like it was the 8-10. I had an ace, he had an 8, each river, 2 pair. Then, of course, the king deuce of clubs hand was key, where I had kings in a flush draw. He had a runner straight, and then the king 9 of diamonds against the 9-6 of hearts. So some key pots where, they're like there's nothing you can do about those except, play them well in the river. So that part was unfortunate. But other than that, I felt like I navigated well. Like there was a lot of traps that were set that I didn't fall into. But yeah, like once the blinds get high, that my goal is to go into the end game with a lead or have it done by the end game. Because then by the end game, I mean, two competent players, you're kind of like flipping coins at that point.
Daniel, let me ask you about the watching it. The pocket nines hand for Phil. You had 6-4 suited, flop trips. If you could go back, would you have played that hand any differently? From a viewer's perspective, it felt like that was going to be the knockout blow. This thing's going to be over. But I believe you just called rather than raised, and walk us through that moment.
I think, Daniel, before you do, why don't we play it back?
Yeah, can we pull it up?
Why
Let's
don't we
pull
pull
up
it
the
up
hand.
and
Let's do
play
it.
it back for you guys to watch, and then Daniel and Phil,
Why don't you pull back Daniel's analysis of the hand too? That was pretty good.
6-4 suited for Negs. I mean, let's go. Hellmuth with the limp, by the way. There we go, and we have the min sort of click up.
37 total.
So unorthodox, so weird. Awkward stack depth, by the way.
total.
50 BBs effective, roughly. So I don't know. We have the limp just south of 4x from Negs, and then the kind of min click up from Phil, and a very playable one from Negs. So here we go.
And I think Daniel is very comfortable with Phil's range in this spot. I think he has a real sense that Phil is working the over pairs.
Ali, this could be a wrap. I mean, this really could be it.
4,000.
Meaning just it's going in at some point. The slow play here from Negs, I'm not.
Why not just get him to commit the rest?
Right.
I mean, here we are with hearts now.
But off we go. Let's see.
Check.
That's the thing. Maybe like.
And when Daniel check calls this texture,
and listen,
Nick,
SPR stacked to pot ratio less than the pot here. It comes with the cuteness.
Oh, this is
call
tortuous.
3 4s.
Kind of weird. Maybe could have gotten it in on the flop, but wow.
Stand by.
Shows it.
9. Good hand.
This is main reactor is.
You know, you might win
Punching
this
that
fucking
down.
match, but I'll tell you what, I fucking hate the way you played. You played so
At least
fucking
now
bad.
you can say so.
You played
from
so
personal
fucking
experience.
bad. It's crazy. What the fuck are you putting 3,700 in against with 4-6 against
I put
me?
2,200 in.
How do you get yourself trapped?
In case you need it, if you want to throw in the towel, it's for you if you want.
Oh.
You fucking, what you've done to me is criminal.
Should I do it? Because Rocky didn't do it, and freaking Creed was getting crushed. And he didn't do it, and Creed died. And I don't want to see bad things happen to my buddy. I'll just hold it here.
All right, Daniel, so you heard Phil's thoughts right then and there. You heard Nick Schulman's thoughts as we play that hand back. Take us through your thoughts during that hand.
Well, first and foremost, I think karma, if that's a real thing, that certainly bit me in the ass. Fucking pulling out the towel, right? I mean, just lose the match, right? You're like, oh, what a donkey! I really went for it. I was going for like the jugular there. But as far as the hand goes, I actually did a video breakdown of this hand because I thought there was something interesting about it. Because everyone, like, I think what people do when they watch a poker hand is they play armchair quarterback, and they say, well, look, if you did this, it would have worked, right? But they're all assuming that they know Phil has pocket nines here, right? So here's what I know about Phil. In this spot, Phil's going to have a strong hand. He's going to have some overpairs, and he's going to have some ace, king, ace, queen as well. Maybe some other aces, and maybe some bluffs as well, okay? So against this range, I'm comfortable on a 4-4-3 flop, right? If I check raise, Phil's good enough. He's not just going to go all in with ace high. He's going to fold a lot of his ace highs, which I don't mind him calling with because he's drawing completely dead. And if he has overpairs, he's probably going to bet them himself for the most part, right? So I think also it's important to protect your range in these spots where if you're just check raising with your nutted hands and check calling with the mediocre hands, you become quite easy to play against. So having a hand like that in my check call range I thought was important. Now, Phil makes a good check on the turn. A heart came, which hurts me, right? Because it makes my hand like less powerful in a lot of ways because he's got more to worry about. He's got flushes to worry about, stuff like that. Now, when the river card comes a 5 after he's checked back, his most likely hand, right? If you break down his range, he's got pairs, pocket pairs, maybe some 7s, some 6s, some 9s, some 10s, some aces, some kings. But he's also got to let ace high hands, right? And Phil's a good enough player that with just 2 9s for his last chips for 12K, he's capable of saying, listen, what do I beat? I only beat a bluff. Daniel could have a straight here because the board was straight. He could have a flush here. He could have a 4 here. There's so many hands I could have, right? So if I go all in here, you guys, you underestimate Phil in thinking that he can't fold there. I believe that he can fold. Not for 5K though, right? When I make a blocker bet, that includes a lot more hands I can profitably bet that size for, right? Because I could actually bet any pair there for 1/3 pot, right? And, it'd be fine. But to jam, you don't necessarily want to jam with like 2 7s necessarily. So first of all, so if I had to go back, I mean, obviously everyone's like, oh, you misplayed it because you didn't. not how poker works, right? Based on the construction of his range in that spot, and based on what my thought process of what he likely had, it made sense, I think, in the long run to just check call there. And I would check raise some of the time, but not in that case, in that spot against Phil. I didn't think it made sense. So if I had to do it over again, I got bad news for you. I would do the same thing. I would.
Phil, do you think you could have found the fold on the river for all of it and kind of take us through your perspective on that hand?
I might have. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Daniel's right about everything he said. The armchair quarterback in particular, it's, everybody's sitting at home and they're like, well, Daniel should have done this, Phil should have done that. And we're like, well, no, not exactly. Yeah, you can see the hole cards. So that I agree with also. And yeah, I mean, I think the 5K is just an auto snap call. And maybe I get away on the river if he moves in. I think I probably would have. If he moves it on the flop, I think he gets me. But but I think I don't think he's supposed to move it on the flop. I mean, I actually agree with almost everything that he said.
Phil, let me ask you this. Immediately after the hand, you went into the notorious brat mode, stepped away from the table, had some not-so-kind words to say to Daniel. You mentioned you put in 3,700 of your chips and treated him. You sort of suggested he's a donkey. Did you mean that? I mean, do you understand that part, or did you genuinely believe that 6-4 suited should be a fold?
I mean, I think that let me just so I would say this. Daniel's not a donkey, and I think that, he played amazing poker, and I'm not a big fan of getting a lot of money in that spot with 6-4 of diamonds against someone who hasn't re-raised you in an hour or two, but I'm not saying it's wrong. Maybe I'm a little bit more mad that it somehow comes 4-4-3 because I was ready. That hand, I'd had enough, and now that and by the way, Daniel, let me ask you this: you said you were going to play 80% of the hands, but I think you played more like 85%. Was that you just trying to be exploitative?
No. I mean, basically the way that, because listen, here's the thing, right? It's over 300 hands. The number of hands, I don't even know what the final number was, but basically the range that I play is right around 79 to 80% of the hands. So that's going to be my range, period. Sometimes it's like in a 300 hand session, it's going to be 90. Sometimes it might be 65. If you get a lot of 7 deuce, or you get a lot of 9-3 offsuit, you're going to be folding more. So it's just a question of card distribution. But there was no exploit there. It was just basic, pre-flop strategy.
Felt like you played 85, 90% of the hands. But okay, go ahead.
Daniel, this was obviously.
Hey, I'm curious what the numbers say. I'm curious what the actual numbers say.
That's what we have Brent here for.
Yeah.
Let me just back and really study the tape.
I'll find out. I can find out exactly what that was. I'll have someone get in the lab.
And for both of you, in a long, grueling heads-up match like this, Daniel, I'll start with you. Does it fluster you to, like you mentioned, effectively pitch a perfect game until the end of this, and do those kind of emotions? We couldn't see if you were flustered. Do you find yourself being flustered when all of a sudden Phil is coming back, when all of a sudden Phil takes the lead, et cetera, et cetera?
Of course, right. So when he's at 3K, 4K, you're like, whatever, it's no big deal. He doubled up. The 10-5 of clubs versus queen 6 of clubs, that's unfortunate, but it's okay. You still got a lead. And then all of a sudden, with the blinds being as high, now he wins a pot, and it's like, okay, now he's got 35. Uh-oh. And then he wins another one, and you're like, holy fuck. I'm like back to even after all that work, and now we're playing, high variance, high blind poker. So for sure, certainly frustrating. But I wasn't about to, give up or just be like, whatever, just get it in and get crazy. I was still going to try to play very sound poker, despite the run, moving the other way. But sure, listen, you're not human if you have a 97-3 lead, lose, and then not feel like absolutely bonkers tilted by it. No question about it.
And Phil, do you think you were able to keep your emotions in check when you fell really far behind at the beginning?
I was a lot more in check than it appeared. But I will say this: Daniel really did handle himself well. I mean, he took that massive swing. I never really saw him give any chips away. I never really saw him tilt. So actually, I thought he handled himself well, really well, because that would tilt anybody. So I didn't see the emotions get to him. I think we're both kind of veterans. We've both been through it. We've both seen it a lot, and so I give him credit. And I think for me personally, a lot of times I let my emotion out of the bag so that I don't have to tilt with my chips. and I think that I mean, I think that he put me in some bad spots, and I thought it was very interesting for me to watch because he didn't play the way I expected him to play because I've never really watched him play heads up before. But now I can look back and I can say, okay, and then I mean, there's things that I can do. I really didn't have any idea about some of the stuff that he was doing, and now I can at least know what to expect.
And for you guys all tuning in, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you do like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, follow us, whatever it is that you got to do. Please do all that. We want to make sure we can come back week after week, feature some of these great guests, just like Daniel, just like Phil. And if you missed it, the announcement, High Stakes Duel 2 Round 2 is coming May 5th. 8 p.m. Eastern. Take a look at that graphic. God, look at that sucker. Yeah, that is nice. That's sharp. We're
Come
coming
on,
back,
man.
baby.
Where's my Aria hat? What's wrong with you guys?
Oh, my.
You
Yeah,
ripped my freaking logos off?
Wow.
We need the brain fuel, Phil, I guess, in that graphic also, right?
I've got the brain fuel. I'm almost done with my brain fuel because, it's like 2 p.m. and I woke up at 1:30 for this interview. So, yeah, I've almost chugged the whole thing.
Yeah, not only do you need the brain fuel, but, I mean, apparently you need a lot of food as well. I don't know how many meals you had at the table, Phil. It seemed endless. It seemed like every moment you were eating candy, having a burger. Producer John, we got something we can fire up to show Phil's eating habits for when he plays. Perhaps this is the real white magic.
Yeah, the layer of steam on the inside of the clamshell alone suggests a real saw.
This is
he went back.
This is Ted Bundy here.
Oh my God.
Yummy, yummy. Oh man, that's a bag right there.
5-pounder. So,
I mean, he just had a chicken sandwich and Sour Patch Kids.
One of the best things.
It's like when deep sea fishermen open up a tiger shark and they find like a license plate, half a tire, and a leatherback turtle.
Yeah.
Recently just rolled past me.
Oh my God.
Oh, don't mix it up with physical
Yeah, last
gyration.
weekend.
That's not going to bode well.
Yeah. Now, there you have it. I mean, meal after meal for this guy. Phil, what is it about, food at the table? Is this a part of your everyday routine when you're playing? I mean, this is back-to-back matches. First Antonio, now Daniel, and you're just going to town.
Well, I have three things to say. All right. First of all, when I get hungry at the table, it's a very dangerous time for me. Always, when I play World Series tournaments, I always make sure I have a snack with me because right before that, break. And so if I get hungry, then I've blown massive amounts of chips. So I never get hungry. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Din Tai Fung, it was amazing to me. I walked right into that restaurant. I tried to go. The burger bar was closed. I walked right into the kitchen, and the chef's like, Phil! And I said, hey, I'm in a super hurry. And he basically made that meal for me in like a minute or two. Literally maybe 3 minutes, which was pretty amazing. And I tried to tip him, but he wouldn't accept the tip. And he just wanted me to come back with a book for him someday. And so that was pretty cool, and I guess that's perceived by everybody as Phil's bragging. But I thought it was pretty cool, and take it as bragging if you want, but that was really fun for me. And so, I'm always going to continue to eat at the table and make sure that, and then I will say this, I came into this match as tired as I could be. And I think Daniel was a little tired too. You could see him struggling a little bit. And, I hope that I don't do that again. I met with 9 CEOs in 4 days, and we're talking about NFT, we're talking about coins, we're talking about all this stuff. And and then I came in, I will tell you, it's really funny, Daniel, as I thought of you, and I thought of you attacking my legacy, and I thought of Nick Schulman not seeing some of these laydowns I made or not giving me credit. Every night when I went to bed at 6 a.m., which is way too late, but my heart would be racing, saying, I need to tell Nick this, I need to tell Nick this, I need to tell Daniel this, I need to tell Daniel this. I'm defending my legacy. He's telling people I'm not the all-time great poker tournament player when Jason Kuhn and all these other guys are saying that's true. And so I'm pissed off. And so I'm thinking about, okay. And then after 3 days of my heart racing as I went to bed, I came up with this apex predator shit line. And then I came up with some other stuff, but my mind kept forming this. And, the minute the match was over, I was able to sleep like a baby. And I'll tell you, going into our next match, I hope that, I'm just going to clear the schedules and be ready. And I'm not sure that I can play much better than I did anyway. But I won't make the mistake of defending my legacy and having an apex predator conversation with Nick.
It's interesting you said that. I mean, so much animosity and tension that was built up heading into round one. It seems as though perhaps that's moved on. Have you let it go as we move into round two? And do you think that maybe losing that sort of that edge, that anger could affect you as you move into round two? Are you a little complacent?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we have to worry about. We have to worry about. But I'm not complacent because I know that Daniel's going to be a great challenge. And but that's what you worry about, when you win your whatever 15th bracelet or whatever, and everybody tells you you're the greatest. But it's so funny, the swings in the poker world. You go from being, oh, Phil's lost his edge. Phil isn't very good. And then when you win a bracelet, all of a sudden, universal praise. This guy's the greatest, and they flash your records. They look back at all your accomplishments. You know what I mean? And yeah, you can't, let your ego. I've made a lot of mistakes. I remember this story, Brent, where Michael Jordan ran to catch up with me. I mean, I just wanted to leave him alone. He runs to catch up with me, and I'm like, fuck, MJ ran to catch up with me. And the next day I got an email saying Obama was asking how I was doing at the World Series of Poker. He was still president. And I walked around, and all I wanted to do was tell everybody about MJ and Obama. I walked around like an asshole for 2 weeks, zero focus on poker, didn't even cash in a tournament. And so, yeah, my ego can fuck me up, man. It's always been able to fuck me up. And so as I get older and more mature, you really have to find a way to keep your head in the process. I remember when Elon Musk came to my book launch party, for Poker Brat, and I was just like, and again, my ego just started to go into like the hemisphere, Elon Musk at my book launch party. This is so cool. Elizabeth Holmes was there. It was a pretty cool event, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so cool. Fortunately for me, I had to read my autobiography 7 hours a day every day, and it reminded me of all of the tough times, and it reminded me of all the struggles I had early in my life. And luckily I didn't go into that ego, but that happens to me. My ego gets out of control, and it affects me with less focus and in some negative ways.
So how did you not mention when Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie begged you to do a threesome? How, like, of all just MJ, but you didn't mention those two saying, Phil, you're the hottest man in the world. Brad Pitt squat. I want some Phil Hellmuth private time. You didn't mention that. You're showing your humility with age.
See, now that's the Negreanu that I love. The guy who can playfully tease me, and I can laugh at myself.
And I want to get Daniel's response to Apex Predator shit, but first, since our audience missed this at the beginning, we want to show you all the clip in case you did not catch this during the weigh-in with Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu and Nick Schulman. This is from High Stakes Duel II, round one.
So listen, I just want to say this. I'm playing and I'm watching the commentary. After 9 hours of playing with Antonio, I feel like I'm completely in his head, which most people can't experience in life. I limp in with King 10. Mm-hmm. For one big blind, he raised with King Queen. I fold it. I limp with King Jack. He raised with King Queen. For one big blind, I fold it. Then I call off 44 big blinds with Ace 10 of diamonds. Mm-hmm. What does that tell you? To me, that's Apex Predator shit, bro. I can save one big blind with King 10 against King Jack. I can save one big blind, in these two amazing spots, and then I call off 44 big blinds with, you didn't like any of those plays, and to me this is white magic, Apex Predator shit, King Kong shit. What do you have to say?
So Daniel, we could watch that again a million times. I said that off the top of the show. Daniel, what were your thoughts in the moment, and what are your thoughts on Apex Predator shit as a whole?
Okay, so much of this is insane, and it's even hard to believe that he did this, because I'll tell you why in a second. First of all, Phil does this thing sometimes before a show, and he's like, I have some things to say. He did it on our show. So don't interrupt me. Let me say what I'm going to say, and then you can talk, right? So then, Phil does that. I sit there and I talk, and then he's like, okay, what do you have to say? Then I start talking, and he interrupts me. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't interrupt you. But what's interesting about that whole thing was about 4 days before, in the studio, GG Poker wanted to do sort of an April Fool's type thing, where my next opponent was going to be the Predator, okay? Phil apparently didn't know about this, because I'm like, how the hell did he throw out that line when we're doing this video? Because it was aired the next day. So we literally created this fun idea of me playing against this large Predator, and freaking Hellmuth, out of the blue, comes out with Apex Predator shit, bro. And it's like, it was such a weird coincidence, that he came with that. I think he's definitely got some creativity when he comes up with his lines. Like that's going to be one that goes down in history.
Not only that, Daniel, but I noticed that in your ad where you play the Predator, he has an Aria hat on in the commercial.
What?
There you go.
That's a true story.
That's unbelievable.
My wife is like, did you know about this? This is too weird. And I'm like, no, I knew nothing.
And I think everybody just assumed that GG and Daniel just kind of put that together, spur of the moment, after we saw the Apex Predator shit rant of sorts. But then there it is.
And of course, the release date of King Kong and Godzilla was shortly after that, right?
Yeah, that's very relevant.
Yeah. So we got round 2 again, May 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys tune in for that. There's going to be more details to come, no doubt about it, as we throw that graphic up here. Let's move and sort of focus on this round 2 as we near it. Daniel, strategy-wise, any changes that you're going to be making? And then, Phil, when Daniel wraps up, I'd like to hear from you as well.
So, yeah, here's what I think will happen. Obviously, Phil mentioned that he watched it, right? So he's going to see some things that I was doing, and he's going to adjust, because that's what Phil does. Phil has been doing this for a long time, and he sees somebody doing one thing, at extreme, and he's going to try to counterbalance that, right? So I'm going to have to be wary of that. For example, there was a bunch of spots where I folded in spots where I think Phil was surprised, probably, that I laid these hands down in some spots. So I would imagine that's going to, affect the way Phil plays in the next one. So I expect round 2 to be different. Like if you think of a boxing match and there's a 12-round match, round 1 is often like very, just jab and careful. And then you get a little bit more rabid and wild as, the players get tired, or the fighters get tired, and, more things open up. So I expect some more fireworks probably in the second round. There wasn't a lot in the first half of big confrontations with like really big hands against big hands. It was kind of just like, a grind, like I was able to grind them down. And then, after that, things shifted. But I think the second match, you're going to see, you're going to see some adjustments, right, from him, I think, predominantly. And then the question is, how will I approach that? Like, could I still make the same kind of laydowns I was making before if he ups his aggression and things like that?
All right, Phil, a little deep dive inside the mind, my man. What do you have in store for us round 2?
I mean, I'm very instinctive, and I'm very, super instinctive. And so I'm going to rewatch the match, maybe once or twice more. And then as my mind, just like the weird thing is, like and I'll sleep on it and I'll think about it a lot, and my mind kind of self-corrects. It's really kind of weird to me. Like if I'm playing high stakes golf matches, the first day I always play badly. And then for some reason, I think about my swing all night and all the money that's on the line. And I come out and I just play a lot better. Like, I don't understand how it works even, but I give my mind some credit for that, and I expect that. And so, that's the great thing to me about the World Series of Poker, is that I can come in and not play very good, and then I can not play very good again, but my mind's adjusting, and all of a sudden, whatever strategies my opponents are using, predominantly I can find counter strategies to that, and that's why the series is good for me. It gives me a chance to correct, and get better. So, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know actually what I'm going to do differently. So it's going to be a challenge.
Daniel, where are you taking us?
Sorry, I didn't want to lose the connection, so I had to put power in here. So I'm still here.
Oh, it's okay. It's
all
okay.
Good, all good. Yeah, Phil, you mentioned high stakes golf. I mean, boys, it's Masters Week. Are we going to be tuning in? Are we going to be betting on this? Who do we like in the Masters? Give us a little insight there. Phil, you first.
Okay. I wanted to let Daniel start, but I'll say that I like Jordan Spieth, and I've always been kind of a Spieth fan. I've also bet a lot of money on Brooks Koepka, but he's out. Koepka's made me a lot of money. Generally speaking, I've lost money at golf, but I've made enough maybe on Koepka to be evenish over the years. I remember one week. I remember like 20 years ago when I bet Tiger to win 3 weeks in a row, and he won 3 weeks in a row, and I got 7-1 each time. So I love golf, and I'm completely planning. I mean, I have a lot going on with the NFT stuff. You know, I'm talking to a CEO today about a new coin he's launching in the Bitcoin, and so and my agent and I are putting together some deals. Who's also Daniel's agent, and so I'll be a little bit busy with that. But I really love to watch Masters Week, and ideally, I will watch 4 hours of golf per day, just to relax and unwind, and I think the Masters is just fun.
I mean, Phil, good news for you is that Brooks Koepka is going to give it a go in the Masters, so he is back. He is going to be a little hobbled. He mentioned it's going to be tough for him to walk from shot to shot, but do you think maybe you fire just a hint, just a little bit of money on Brooksy come this week?
Yes, and I mean, Dustin Johnson and I have hung out in Vegas a number of times. One time, Daniel's going to love this. One time, DJ Michael Jordan and I had a really fun time, and I remember we spent the whole night drinking together, and I remember telling DJ he's going to win 4 or 5 majors, and MJ wasn't as cool like that.
Oh.
I mean, I'm like, give the kid some credit. I'm not saying MJ said anything negative, but I mean, you can tell the guy's going to win 4 or 5 majors. Jordan's such a realist. But so I mean, I love DJ, and I'm gonna have to fire on him because, I've had bad timing with him. I bet him, and then the next week he wins, and then I bet him, and then the next week he wins. So I was kind of bummed out that I didn't have him at the last Masters because I think he's just phenomenal.
Daniel, you gonna fire some golf this weekend?
Yeah, I think. Well, my read is I think at this point Jack Nicklaus is a little too old, so I'm not betting on him.
Probably a good call.
But Tiger Woods, I know he's got some issues with the car accident and stuff, but I still feel like maybe at the last minute he'll pull it out. So I'm gonna fire on Tiger Woods even though he's not playing. It's I don't know. There's a few guys that I like to watch that are local around here, like Colin Morikawa and whatnot. Yeah. But I'm not really sure. I'll have to I'll ask my guru Christian, because Christian he knows golf and he'll give me some spot. I'll ask him to just make the bets for me and tell me who we have.
Does Amanda like to watch golf, or does that bore her to death?
What do you think? Do you really think Amanda is gonna wake up and be like, "Oh, babe, what time is freaking Bryce teeing off?" No, watch golf.
Did you guys catch the?
Huh?
Did you guys catch the Daniel troll there? It was pretty good. He's going to bet Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods.
Caught that one, Phil. Thank you. Yeah.
I felt like that was a really nice little Phil Hellmuth troll. Very nice.
Definitely was.
Understood that one. So let's wrap up with this. How would you both, and Phil, I think we'll start with you for this one. How would you sum up the pressure that you feel or you think you will be feeling going into round 2 of High Stakes Duel 2?
I got to tell you, I told the story before. Before the third match against Antonio, I had this ego-filled week where they sent me a jet, and I was at this mansion in Wisconsin on Lake Geneva, and there with my son playing high-stakes poker, hanging out with a bunch of billionaires. My son won $15,000 in the game,
nice.
Nick, and so I came in very egotistical, but also with my son Nick, after every conversation, I'm like, Nick, did I talk too much? Is my ego too big? Nick was helping me, and I had a massive ego drop before the Antonio match, which was great because I needed it, and in the 3 days between the end of that trip, and I came in a lot more steady and a lot more focused. But I'll tell you what, my heart was racing with him. And I went in and I was all nervous and I lied down on the floor before the match. And I'm like, I was telling you guys, I'm freaked out. I have to shake everybody's hand on the way in. Oh my God, I don't want to do that. And I always shake everybody's hand. I love to do that. But I'm telling you, I was so nervous that I just found myself, all right, I don't want to go into AFib. I don't want my heart to go too crazy. I don't want to have have an anxiety attack. And so I was lying down, hoping no one would come and say anything to me. And then the minute I sat in the chair with Antonio and we got live, it went away. So I had a little bit of that with Daniel, but I don't think I'll have it in match 2. But match 3, and I don't get nervous before final tables usually. But there's some anxiety. I mean, you're playing a great player and you're playing live with huge audiences, and there's a little bit to deal with.
Daniel, how about you as far as pressure is concerned going into this one?
I think it's fair to say that if there's pressure on one side or the other, typically it's going to be on the person who, well, one, lost the first match.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, typically, you know, if you're the betting favorite, people expect you to be the winner. So there's a little bit more pressure in that regard. And for me, one of the tough, annoying things was, like, first of all, I lost the match, and I did have side bets on it. But the people that made the side bets that watched the match, I said, well, can we do, you know, the same bet? And they don't want it anymore. Because they didn't think they didn't like their side anymore after seeing sort of how the play went in the first half of the match. So that's been frustrating. So I've been like trying to grind on Twitter, you know, 5K or 10K at a time to try to get as much money as I had on the first one. And I've been able to nickel and dime some. We've got enough people there that are betting on Phil plus the 150. So yeah, I think that, you know, listen, could you imagine Phil after we just had Private Jet, Michael Jordan, Dustin Johnson, like everybody. After all that, and beating me twice, oh my God! I would worry about the AFib and all the stuff he was saying because like his ego could explode. So we have to do our best for the sake of humanity to make sure that we humble Phil a little bit and make sure we win the second one, and then we play for all the marbles in the final round.
Yeah, and just to clarify,
well, I'll tell you one thing, Daniel. Since you brought it up, you sure tried to humble me in the first match.
Yeah, that's true.
And just to clarify, too, round 1, that was $50K a man, so that's a $100K prize pool. Round 2, we doubled the stakes. Every round is going to double. So round 2, $100K a man. This is going to be a $200,000 match. If Phil wins, he's one match away from closing it out. Of course, that match would double as well. It'll be a $400,000 round 3. May 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern on Poker Go. We're going to have the weigh-in at 7:30 with Nick Schulman. Of course, we'll also have a hype show probably on May 4th as well.
Is there anything else you guys want to add today before we see you both in the same
One
arena?
other thing, Daniel, you want to make our second match our final match, and the winner just goes to gets another challenger?
No, definitely not. No, I definitely want to play. Yeah, I definitely want 3 rounds for sure. Yeah, not a lot of upside for me in only playing 2.
There you have it. We're going to go to round 3 no matter what. Phil, you know what? Let me ask you this. I'll throw it out there. If Daniel wins round 2, are you coming back for round 3? Should we expect a rematch?
I wasn't planning on challenging for the third match. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about it. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I was definitely challenging. If I lost the first match, I was challenging. I had already made up my mind I was going to challenge. So I don't know. We'll see.
Is that just to cut your losses, right? Because you're only in this thing for $50,000. It's essentially a free roll for you. However, if you were to lose round 2 and have to move on to round 3, if you rematch, you got to pony up another $200,000. So is it a bit of a save?
For 100%. Like, I mean, I do this. I've been the most conservative money manager in history until I started taking a lot of gambling on a lot of companies. I think I have 35 companies now I have a piece of or something. And I've taken shots there, but but I have a lot of control over that stuff. I can see, a vision for what I think the companies will be able to do. But I've been super conservative with my money in poker, and then and I've been criticized for that, and at some point, maybe now, maybe in a year, or maybe in 5 years, none of it probably matters. But yeah, I've been very conservative, and so yeah, if I don't challenge Daniel, it will be for the third match. If he wins and I don't challenge him, it will be about the money, I think, which is unfortunate.
Hold on, the good news is Phil has a Rolodex of billionaire friends, right? So he doesn't want to put the whole 200K up. He can just make a phone call to Chamath or Sachs, one of these guys,
Sure.
And they'll back their buddy. So one way or the other, Phil can,
Yeah, Chamath might be up 3 or 4 million backing me, and so all these guys have made money on me. I don't know, for some reason, every time I put together a package, You look at U-Stake. I mean, people don't believe the stuff I say, but you can look it up. It's pretty easy to find out. I believe 18 out of 19 packages on U-Stake, I've won money with 1 loss and 1 breaking even. So call it 18 out of 20. It's crazy. And so I have this crazy record, of getting there when people have a piece of me. And so I didn't really want to sell any on U-Stake. Daniel said I'm a big underdog. And so I did. I just sold 5K, and I'll probably just sell 5K again. But I think it also helps to have, to feel responsible for playing your best to other people too.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both for the time. We very much appreciate it, and we will see you in a couple weeks for round 2.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate that.
Peace.
All right, there they go, Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu. Always a treat to get them in the same environment.
Yeah, it is. Although, I sort of expected maybe they would get into it a little bit.
Yeah,
but it seems as though Phil has gathered himself. He's removed his ego, or at least that's what he stated. And Daniel, nothing's changed for him. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to come up. He's got to show up. He's got to win round 2. He's probably going to do something very similar that we saw round 1, strategy-wise. By the way, Phil Hellmuth saying that he won't rematch if he were to lose round 2.
Yeah.
That's news to me. That's a bit of a shock. I also call bullshit.
Yeah.
I call bullshit. Okay. He's too much of a competitor. You don't pound your chest and say Apex Predator, Kong shit without wanting to rematch if you lose. I don't buy it. I think he's going to rematch.
He had so many thoughts about his legacy that was leading him up to
He doesn't want to go out as a quitter.
I don't think he would just go out in round 2.
Because that's being a quitter. I don't think he's going to. He doesn't have it in him. He's going to play.
Round 2, May 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern of High Stakes Duel 2. How do you segue from that to Uncle Ron?
Well, I don't know, but we're sure as shit going to try it. So let's do that. We got the Masters week.
Yeah.
Let's roll in Uncle Ron, and let's hear about the Masters weekend. What do we have in store?
Ron. Uncle Ron.
Oh, God. What is happening?
It's Masters Week. With Masters Week comes great opportunity to bust our bookie. I think I have found a player that is going to allow us to do that. So this player, last year, he shot all 4 rounds in the 60s. First time to ever do it in the history of the Masters. He went on to place second. He has the same hair as me and the same mustache as me, only way thinner. Mine's got a lot more girth to it. And my dumbass bookie has him listed at 45 to 1. 45 to 1 for a guy that got second last year. And that player is Cameron Smith. So everybody needs to go load ass as quickly and quietly as possible. Go to your nearest bookie and load ass on Cameron Smith, 45 to 1. Let's bust our bookie.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Yeah, wow, Ronnie.
That phrase.
Cameron Smith, huh?
Cameron Smith.
I actually like the pick.
I kind of like the pick also.
I like it a lot. He did a lot of research there. I didn't know he was runner up last year.
Ron
either.
actually looks like quite the golfer himself.
You want to? This is a little known fact. All right, folks at home. Uncle Ron is a scratch golfer. I'm not even lying. I'm not making this up. This is all true. The guy is a scratch golfer, despite the little shtick and the little video that you saw there. And Uncle Ron provided me with this Masters caddy outfit and hat. And I think if I turn around, I'll see.
I don't.
Do you see Uncle Ron on the back?
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you have it.
You a little warm?
It's a little clammy in here.
Toasty.
Yeah, it's a little clammy. It's just the way I like it, Jeff.
Well, it is indeed
Use a warm
Masters
cup
week.
of milk.
I mean, before we talk about the Masters, Brent, we have got to talk about the Valero Texas Open.
Why is that?
Because our guy finally did it. Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth, winner of the Valero Texas Open. And Brent, we said this from the very beginning that we would always support Jordan Spieth on this very show. And here's proof. Let's take a look at our journey surrounding one Jordan Spieth. We did it. And here's what we're going to do here on No Gamble, No Future. We're going to rally behind Jordan Spieth.
Terrible pick.
He's in a year-long, maybe a 2-year-long slump, but he's going to snap out of it eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but on this very show,
once it's the Masters,
we're going to fire it every single week. And
Don't
this
bet
week,
that.
we're getting Spieth at 85 to 1 to win the Farmers Insurance Open. And I said on this very show that we would bet Jordan Spieth every single week. I think it's safe to say Jordan Spieth is back. The betting on him continues. And Brent, I can get him at 30 to 1. You like it, don't you?
Yeah,
yeah.
God, so close.
Of course, folks, you guys know it by now. Every single week on this very show, Jordan Spieth to win. Jordan Spieth to win the Genesis Invitational at 44 to 1.
No
Get
shot.
us out of the hole.
No shot.
Here he comes. Hanging around, lying in the weeds. And Jordan Spieth, we're back, baby. Back on the Spieth train to win the WGC Match Play Golf's version of a little March Madness. Give me Jordan Spieth at 26 to 1.
You're always riding Spieth for all these events, huh?
He's going to win one. He's close. You know he's
Keep
close.
betting him. Eventually he's going to win. Yeah, I don't blame you.
You know, it's almost emotional to just look back, and we finally have reached the pinnacle, and we did it.
It's quite a moment, Jeff. Do we have a receipt for this? Let's pull it up.
We do.
My God.
I'm happy to show you a receipt. Now, this is not all me. This is me and my guy, Jason Harvey, viewer of the show. But, Brent, that's Jordan Spieth at 14 to 1 to win the Valero Texas Open. Now, for some reason,
I would
Brent,
have happily put 100 towards this, Jeff.
You
I'm
don't
your
have
co-host.
$100.
We do this together.
No. For some reason,
God.
Brent, this must be a producer John error to say punt of the week right next to it. I mean, that's a clear winner.
Yeah, well, here's why it's your punt of the week. If
Okay.
we rewind the tape again, I'm sure we don't have some beautiful compilation video like we just saw a moment ago. You didn't put this on your card last week, Jeff. This is not a qualifier.
I always have it on my card.
This
I
is
say
not a
every single
qualifier.
week,
We do not
we
have a
bet
clip
on
of you
Jordan
on the
Spieth.
show picking Jordan Spieth for the Valero Open. We
You
just
saw
don't.
the clip. I say Jordan
Pull up
Spieth
the card,
every
please.
single week, so it's an
Pull up the
auto
card.
add to the card.
There's the
There
card.
is my card. Well, so you saw
It's
a
not
couple
there.
losses in USC and Michigan.
It's not there.
The Baylor cover, that was easy. Hornets and Nuggets were on fire on NBA, by the way. So we win 0.8 units just within that card graphic, Brent.
There's
So
no other
obviously
graphic. There's no card. This didn't happen.
I think the producers, just our team of producers, I don't pass blame on anybody, Brent. When it's my error, I take full responsibility. That wasn't me. That was definitely
thank God
like
you
producer
actually
John,
did
producer
place the
Aiden, or
bet.
Right. And that, yeah, I didn't put
It just doesn't count for the results of
I
the
didn't put it
show,
on
Jeff. I'm sorry we're going to have to disqualify
I
you.
didn't
It
put
does
it on my
not
card.
count. I do believe in you. I think you started to hear me come around on Jordan Spieth. You got to keep betting him. Very similar to why I'm going to keep betting Tony Finau. Eventually he's going to win. You just got to keep riding the train.
Well,
And,
speaking of Tony Finau, let's take a look at your card.
Well, let's pull it up.
Rough
Yeah,
weekend for
let's
Mr.
pull
Finau.
up my card. Let me show you exactly what happened. What all went wrong for me this week? Yeah, USC Gonzaga. Jesus, Jeff. USC disaster.
it's so
Absolute
painful.
disaster. The Zags just beat the tar out of them. UCLA winner. I love them all along. Houston. I mean, they ran
Crush
into
fest.
the national champions, of course, Baylor, who. They are the best team in the country. They deserve to win. They dominated Gonzaga front to back. And, of course, Tony Finau, he got cut. He was 2 under or 3 under right away, and he got cut.
Let's take a look at our tracker. And Brent, I continue to inch closer and closer to you. Betcoin, by the way, last week had Michigan with me. Yeah, stay tuned for a couple minutes, and then we'll get Betcoin's pick for this week.
He's ready.
By the way,
Yeah.
Brent, speaking of tracking results,
Okay.
Producer John, how about 7-0?
That's unbelievable.
About 7-0 this last
That's no
weekend.
bullshit. His
7-0 is
fiance
strong. Yeah.
removed
I think
crutches.
they're married. I think you guys
They're
are
married. Your
but-
wife.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
John.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Producer John. I keep thinking, at least you don't call her your girlfriend anymore. Anyway, she's removed the crutches. She's walking. Congratulations, Jessica. And, yeah, what a weekend. 7-0. He's looking to
Jessica's good
ride
go.
a little heater
John's
tonight.
7-0. And if you guys want to tail Producer John, he says Patrick Reed at 35 to 1.
To
How
win
about
the
that?
Masters,
To win the
Reed.
Masters. He says he hates himself for doing this. Patrick Reed,
A lot of
bit more
people
a
don't
villain.
like Patrick
Yeah.
Reed.
I like Patrick
I
Reed.
think didn't he steal stuff out of lockers and got kicked out of school?
I don't know about
Isn't that true, Jeff?
I don't
Isn't it
know
all
about
out
that.
there?
I don't know. Can
I don't know.
you just prepare your Masters card for a little bit?
I'll prepare.
I want to
Let
give
me
a
get into
special
it.
shout out to our friends over at DraftKings.
Oh, yeah.
You have heard about DraftKings, just a guess. The leader in daily fantasy sports. Payday can come every day by entering their contest with huge cash prizes up for grabs. And this week, of course, jam-packed with action. You have hoops nightly. You have hockey nightly. You have the Masters.
Baby.
Oh, baby. You can form one of those DraftKings lineups for the Masters, and it will be fantastic.
Free to play,
DraftKings-
Jeff. Free to play.
Yeah, DraftKings has plenty of ways for you to have a front row seat to all of the action. Making that lineup adds excitement to every night. It's easy to do. You just draft the lineup, and you feel that sweat. We're in this for the sweat, right?
And I am
you
always
can-
sweaty.
Yes, yeah. Well, especially today.
Very
You
sweaty.
can really feel those sweats like never before. Every moment means more with the DraftKings lineup on the line. So it's simple. Each player has a salary associated with them. You have a salary cap.
Yeah.
Even a non-math guy like Brent can form a DraftKings
No idea how
lineup.
to do it.
DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to users across all sports, the leader in daily fantasy sports, so there's no better place to get in on all the action. Okay, so now that you know how to play, all you have to do is download the DraftKings app. Sign up using the code STAKES. What's that code, Brent?
That code would be steaks. And I'm
That
not talking
code
about
would
the
be
steaks I
steaks.
eat every night. I'm talking
No.
about the stakes you want to play for.
Thank you for
The
clarifying.
amount of money won,
Yeah.
Jeff, that you want to win over and over. Not lose, win.
STAKES. New users will get a free entry with their first deposit. That is code STAKES to get a free entry with your first deposit only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. They apply to us because we're in Nevada, but one day soon we'll get in the mix. See DraftKings.com for details. Let us see the details, Brent,
Please.
of the Masters. Now, first, let's take a look at the futures for the Masters. Our DraftKings Sportsbook odds. Who do they have? Top 10. Top 10. I mean, you have your big names. You have your Dustin Johnsons. You have now your Jordan Spieths. You have your John Rahm, there's Bryson in the mix, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Brooksy. Phil Hellmuth, a big Brooksy fan.
He loves Brooksy. I don't know, man. He can't even walk, though. I want
Yeah.
28 to 1. I'm
Colin
not betting that.
Morikawa rounds out the top 10 at plus 31.50, a little value on the PGA Championship winner. So let's do this. Let us get straight to the cards. I will start. Brent, thank you. I have the honors.
Thank you.
From last week.
Go ahead.
Jordan Spieth to win the Masters. Check out this
Oh, my.
beautiful look. The no gamble, no future golf ball. The Masters betting cards. And here we go.
Sound the trumpets.
Jordan Spieth plus 1150 to win the Masters, really, at this point, because why not? Rory McIlroy has been struggling. But at 19 to 1, a player this good at almost 20 to 1 in a major, it's a very rare opportunity. I'm going to try to pounce. Adam Scott, 75 to 1, former Masters winner, great ball striker, not a great putter that can be forgiven at the Masters.
He uses his belly to putt. I mean,
he's
he's
the
got
weird
his whole
putter
body
system,
into
yeah.
it. How does he miss?
Producer John linked us to the sharp at amateurstatus.golf, and he had good things to say, so why not? He's sharp. We aren't. I'll take Adam Scott. Carlos Ortiz, you got to get a long shot into the mix. How about 175 to 1? Look decent, WGC match play. And then I have a couple matchups for you. Give me Paul Casey against Uncle Ron's Cameron Smith. I'll take Adam Scott, thank you very much, against Corey Connors. I'll take the villain that is Patrick Reed against Xander. And then Matt Kuchar to finish in the top 20 at plus 275. Brent, he has 5 top 20 finishes over the last 9 years.
Hey, you're
You
really
do the
going
math.
off this
Yeah.
week, huh?
Sounds
You're
good.
really
Fire,
going
fire,
off in
fire.
the
It's
Masters.
Masters week.
Mine's going to be short and sweet, Jeff. Let's pull it up. Let me take a
Okay.
look. Here's
Okay.
what's going on, all right? I got Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah.
A little better than 20 to 1. I love this dude. Every podcast I've listened to, every magazine article I've listened to, my dad
Listen to a
says,
magazine article.
bet this guy. Well, I can't read, so it's audio. My dad said, bet this guy, Patrick Cantlay. So I'm just listening to the good old sound advice of my pops out there, D. Hanks. He said Cantlay, that's my guy. Tony Finau, I'm going to continue to ride the Tony Finau train every single tournament I'm in until he wins, Jeff. That's it.
Okay.
Sung Jae, I love this dude, 40 to 1. 40-1. This to me is like the steal of the Masters, getting 40-1 on your money. I'm also betting him to finish in the top 10. 4-1 on your money there. Bet 100, bet 10, whatever you want. You're going to get 4-1 in return. And then my long shot, Corey Connors, smooth striker. I love this young kid. I also like alliteration. Corey Connors. Keep it simple. And I also love 80-1, of course, the long shot. That's my dude. This is my Masters card. I'm locked. I'm loaded. I'm going to be loaded on Sunday. Let's go, baby.
Remember this morning you tried to tell us Sung J M was 4-1 to finish in the top 40?
Well,
You're
I
like, that
clearly,
can't be right. Yeah.
clearly was getting a great price.
Doesn't use the DraftKings Sportsbook app very well. It's very simple, though. And he's going to get the hang of it.
Try to sneak one
eventually.
through.
All right, but what does the coin say, Brent? What does the coin?
I don't know. What are we betting on again?
Earlier today, we picked Lakers against the Raptors. That is coming up tonight.
Okay.
And that game is a pick'em. Lakers versus the Raptors. So
okay, Lakers is going to be heads, all right, and Raptors will be tails. Okay, ready?
Lakers heads,
here we
Raptors
go.
tails.
This is the most accurate coin in the game. Here we go.
Well, minus 0.1 units. It's heads.
We're Lakers.
Lakers.
We're going Lakers.
Betcoin is taking the Lakers pick'em against the Raptors. Thank you all so much for watching, for being here. Yeah, one more time. That just sounds so good. It is Masters Week. We wish you the very best of luck. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we really appreciate the time from Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu.
Oh, man, outstanding guess. And we'll see who we're going to bring in next week, Jeff. I believe you and I are going to be going to Texas soon.
We do have
more
a trip
details there.
planned to the Lone Star Poker Series, so maybe we can see some of you out in Houston. More details to come on that one. Thank you so much to our crew. They do a fantastic job, especially producer John, who went 7-0. But all of them forgot to put Jordan Spieth on my card last week. That was.
Yeah, I'm sure it was their fault, Jeff.
Yep. That was definitely
awfully
their fault.
sweaty. Can we kill this show already?
Yeah.
Come on, cut it, man. I got to get out of this
Enjoy
thing.
Masters
Jesus.
Week. We'll see you next Tuesday.